Hello and welcome to this presentation from Rethink Mental Illness. This is about the Carer Support Dorset team who are looking after supporting carers of a mental illness in Dorset. We're Rethink Mental Illness. Hello. My name is Ingrid Leggett and I'm the service manager for the team. We're all home-based and our workers are Pam Pillow, a mental health recovery worker, Ren Griffiths, also a mental health recovery worker, and Andrew Barr, who is a mental health recovery worker who's taken over from Olivia Stevens, who should be coming back to us in the spring of next year. So welcome, this is us. We've been going, the Rethink Mental Illness Carer Support Service in Dorset has been going now for well over 10 years. And we're very pleased to be continuing to support carers looking after loved ones with a mental illness in Dorset. So who are Rethink Mental Illness? Some of you may know of Rethink Mental Illness, but for those who don't, Rethink Mental Illness was founded by a carer, John Pringle, over 40 years ago now, because he was so upset with the mental health services that were around in the 1970s when his son was diagnosed with schizophrenia. We used to be called the National Schizophrenia Society. We've been renamed as Rethink Mental Illness. So we were founded by a carer, and carers are very much the lifeblood and continue to be working with us and involved in our organisation. We run services and support groups across England. So we don't only run services for carers, we run services for the carers' loved ones, so carer support groups, we run housing support groups, we run floating support groups, so that's to help people with a mental illness living at home. We have registered care homes as well. We work in prisons, so all over England. We also challenge attitudes and campaign about mental illness. Very important, because we have a very strong tradition and team that campaign and lobby government to improve and change for the better lives and attitudes regarding mental illness. So we help improve legislation and we challenge attitudes, because we all know that sadly there's still stigma attached around mental illness. Okay, being a carer, so every year 2 million people become carers. This is from Carers UK, but we know that's increased sadly because of COVID and what's happening. So more and more and more people in society are becoming carers, unpaid carers, carers by accident, carers for their loved ones with a mental illness, without a mental illness, with both. The government recognises and values the contribution of carers. I put a question mark there, because they do, but like everything, the government can always do more. There was a Social Care Act in 2014, so we know that carers have a right for a carers assessment, and our mental health teams, the community mental health teams across Dorset help with the Care Act assessments for carers, and also the carer leads across the Dorset Council services as well. So we work very closely in partnership with them. We know caring can be very difficult, stressful, but also very challenging and rewarding. I remember talking with a group of carers at one of our carer drop-in services, and a carer mentioned that although it's difficult, stressful, and really challenging, it's also a gift to be able to look after somebody and really change their lives. So we need to hold on to that. So what do we offer at Rethink Mental Illness, Dorset Carers? We offer individual carer support. That's really important because we know that it's so difficult to be a carer sometimes, particularly with the challenges of caring for a loved one with a mental illness, particularly if you're an accidental carer. Many people are becoming accidental carers now because people might not have family nearby. Friends and neighbours provide that care and support, and it can be very difficult. So we provide that one-to-one targeted carer support, which is sometimes a real lifeline while carers are waiting for statutory services. And when I say statutory, these are services like the community mental health team to step in, psychological support services to step in, because we know that there are very, very long waiting lists for that. So we provide that individual carer support, and that's very targeted to ensure that carers' well-being, emotional well-being, mental and physical well-being is improved. And that's very much through a recovery goal support model. We also provide clearer understanding around mental health, the mental health system and rights. That can be a real minefield, especially when you come into caring for somebody for the very first time. Often it can be because a crisis or a major trauma has happened and a loved one, a friend, a partner has been taken into hospital or undergone a very, very severe episode. So just understanding and working through the mental health system, your rights, your loved one's rights under that, we offer that specialist advice. Just in addition to that, we offer signposting advice nationally and also locally. What's really important in terms of our website, an awful lot of our advice and our online training and free fact sheets can provide a lot of support. That psychoeducational support, just understanding, for example, what is schizophrenia, the types of medication, what they mean, things like that can be downloaded from our website. Respite, we're very pleased to be able to manage the council's respite fund. So this is a respite fund that's set up for very small grants of anywhere from around about £100 to £300. It can be up to £300 a year, and we can talk through with you what kind of respite you need. It might be something like you need it for a hobby, anything that will improve your well-being and being able to improve how you can work as a carer in a better way and how you can be supported. So, for example, it might be to help with a hobby. Like gardening, to buy gardening implements. We've had carers come to us to help buy chickens and set up a chicken run and chicken housing, because that can be very therapeutic, looking after pets, gardening, also very short breaks. There's events and promotion for carers, so Dorset Council have put on this brilliant event for Carers Festival. There's Carers Week, and there's lots of events and promotions throughout the year that we get involved in to highlight the brilliant work that carers do, and also are available for support for carers. We also run a monthly online carer drop-in support group. That's online, that's once a month, and that's working very much in partnership with Carer Support Dorset. Carer Support Dorset provide a generic service for carers of all adults and some young carers as well. So that's for physical carers who are looking after someone with learning disabilities, with physical disabilities, and we work very closely with Carer Support Dorset as we provide that niche just for mental illness. So it doesn't really matter if you come to us, we will definitely talk to you and encourage you to work with Carer Support Dorset, because they hold the register on carers, the carer card, and a lot of other great things. We have peer-led face-to-face carer support groups throughout Dorset. Some of these are run by carers themselves, and it's brilliant for getting that peer support from other carers who meet weekly, sometimes monthly. So do get in touch if you want to find out more about those groups and where they are. There are staff-led face-to-face support groups as well. So luckily, because the COVID regulations are being lifted, we're able to provide some face-to-face support groups and we've got a very strong one going in the west of the borough, near Swanage, and we meet at a garden centre there, and I'll show you more photographs about that. And also walk and talk groups, so getting out into the fresh air, walking and talking with other carers and members of staff. We run specialist carer training, sometimes face-to-face and sometimes it's online. And we're actually, so we run carer training on recovery, what it means to be in recovery, how we can support that, how carers can support that, how we can support carers to support that, and how carers can support their loved ones through recovery. Very, very important. Also things like carers communication, carer advocacy, and we run a very specialist Rethink Mental Illness coping for carers, and you can drop in and drop out of that specialist training. So Rethink Networking, I was talking about Rethink Networking, and here we are doing some networking with Dorset Council. We're also talking about carer promotions. I was talking about Carers Week. There's a National Carers Week every year. So this was us before COVID in Sainsbury's, highlighting what we do, encouraging carers to come forward for support, and also anybody that knows a carer, because carers are sometimes very hidden, and it's very important that anybody that knows of carers, either professionally or just through friendship or through the family, can talk to carers about the support on offer, because there is good support here in Dorset. So what benefits are there for carers, particularly in a little bit more detail? So we assist carers at the first opportunity, and this is essential for preventing increased carer strain. So all too often carers are referred to us or hear about us when they're really at the limit of their caring capabilities and are just about exhausted. So we help carers to understand their rights, carers assessment, and I talked about the Social Care Act. So what their rights are, and what help they can be given. We also advocate for carers in the community mental health team. I mentioned that, the CMHT, who may or may not be involved with a loved one's treatment. Also, the social and healthcare professionals, so those are the carer leads and the carer workers in health and social care. So we've got two branches of carer leads. We've got the community mental health team and the social health care carer leads. You may be involved with with these teams, and you may not. If you're not, don't worry, because we all know that sometimes, particularly mental illness, it can be bubbling away for quite a time before people can get help. So you can come to us with a loved one's mental illness being diagnosed or undiagnosed. We raise accountability for when carers are not being recognised or being supported. So this is very important, within the statutory services. It's really good that we're not having to do this so much, because I'm going to come on to the triangle of care and the good work that all carers organisations across Dorset and within the country are doing. We provide carers with confidence when advocating for their loved ones. So carers, I talked about the training, the assertiveness, the communication, and how carers can improve confidence when advocating, particularly with professionals, or it might be with family members, with non-professionals, for their loved ones. Because it can be very, very difficult if you're a carer and your confidence isn't very strong when you're having to talk to health professionals or social services professionals, and you're not agreeing on the path ahead for loved ones. So we do that, and we also can advocate with carers as well. We can provide that. Regular events take place for staff and carers across Dorset, raising awareness for carers. So I've talked about the registered Rethink Carers groups. We have a regular Rethink carer group in Weymouth, and we are developing carer groups in Bridport and Dorchester and throughout Dorset. And also, carers are able to get involved with internal changes and remain informed of changes that affect carers or their loved ones. Dorset Council are working with us to improve carer representation on carer groups within health and within social services. And also we do that within Rethink. So I talked about our Dorset Carer Support Group. Here's a very recent photo of one of our Dorset Carer Support Groups. Also mentioned our Weymouth Carer Support Group. So these are our lovely carers, some of our lovely carers from Weymouth. And I also wanted to talk about a little bit about what we mean by the triangle of care. Now, I spoke about how luckily we don't have to advocate as much as we did. We still do, but not as much as we did, because this triangle of care is really starting to become embedded within the Dorset healthcare system and also within the council. A lot due to the work that Rethink and Carers Dorset, the Carers Hub, and a lot of the other wonderful carers organisations throughout Dorset. So an awful lot of work is going on and is still going on to ensure that carers remain at the heart of care for loved ones. So here we are. Here's your service user. So that's your loved one, your partner, a relative, could be a neighbour, a friend who is experiencing the illness. So here's the professional. So that could be a psychiatrist, a GP, someone in the hospital, a social worker, and here you are as the carer. So very much this triangle of care is required, and no point on the triangle is weaker than the other. Everybody and everything need to work in harmony to ensure that the service user and everybody is being treated with respect and is taken notice of, to get the end result, which is that carers feel listened to, heard and supported. The same for the service user, and the service user is going to get better and is in recovery and progressing. And the professional as well is ensuring that the service user and the carer are progressing, are improving. We talk about outcomes, so the end result is positive. Without this triangle of care, and without carers being involved, and the service user being involved, you can see that the outcomes were an awful lot worse. Carers need to be involved, because at the end of the day, when that professional intervention has finished, that an hour's consultation or the hospital admittance, it's carers and their loved ones that are left at the end of the day having to work at this. Okay, so triangle of care is a therapeutic alliance between carers, service users and professionals. And how do Rethink engage with the triangle of care? We very much have that at the heart of what we do when interventions are required, and always remember that that triangle of care is essential for carers' well-being and the person that you're caring for's well-being, and also professionals. It's great for professionals, because without recognising that a carer is a partner in care, this was falling down. We were seeing outcomes such as service users getting more ill and repeating episodes of illness. So carers and the essential role they play are identified at first contact. So as soon as we talk to you and you talk to professionals, that is recognised and carers are put on the database. Staff are carer aware and trained in carer engagement and strategies, and Rethink and the wonderful other carer organisations are also included in that. Policy and practice protocols, confidentiality and sharing information are in place. All too often in the past, carers were told that information couldn't be shared because of confidentiality. Well, some information now can be shared, but it's the way that it can be shared to improve support for carers and for their loved ones. So defined posts responsible for carers are in place. So we've got carers leads across Dorset within the council, the carer leads, and also carer leads in the CMHTs, the community mental health teams. A carer introduction to the service and staff is available with a relevant range of information across a pathway. So we can introduce carers into services and with staff where this is needed. And of course, there's a whole range of carer support services available, such as the carer needs assessments, the support that I've just explained, and also the range of support services with Carer Support Dorset, like the registration for carers, the carers cards, and more training. So here's just a little bit of carer feedback, recent feedback that we've been given, just to give you a little bit of a flavour of how carers think of us. it does feel like I'm blowing our own trumpet here, but I was advised to put this up just to give you a little bit of a flavour. So Ren, I just love how calm you are and nothing is a problem. I feel as if I have to be ready for an argument, as nothing is easy when I speak to anyone else in mental health, but not with you. And that's great when we can get that feedback, because it helps us improve our service, and that's absolutely what we want carers to feel. And I promise I didn't make these up. So you're able to read things, a carer saying that you're able to reframe things for me, so I have another perspective. I feel calmer after speaking to you. And I think that reframing is important. When carers, and I'm a carer myself, have an awful lot going on in their head and under terrible, immense stress, and can be very, very upset with the way things are going. It's important to have that reframing and have that from another perspective. And I talked about the one-to-one and how we can then look at goals such as, I need emotional support. What would you need emotional support on? So this is just in terms to be able to alleviate stress. So we can reframe that and work through those goals with you. Another one, you remind me what to do, things that I already knew but had forgotten about, like taking care of myself and the simple things I can do. Really important, because as carers we all know that sometimes we can forget to even feed ourselves. That is so sad. But just simple things like just taking that moment to talk to a member of staff about, so what's it like? What's going on for you? Talk to me about what you've just been doing for the last few hours. And it's sad when, things like, not when was the last time you had a good meal. I really appreciate having someone to talk to who understands. I had no idea support was available. This is the first time in all the years I've been caring that I have someone to talk to. I'm so grateful. That's brilliant to hear, but sad that that wasn't known. And I think that's why we have this Carers Festival, so that carers can hear and see and meet all of the wonderful caring organisations that there are there to help carers. And lastly, a thank you for listening. It's helped me work through the difficult times. We still have a difficult road ahead, but knowing I have support makes all the difference. That's so true, isn't it? It's difficult caring. We talked about it right at the beginning of the presentation. Caring can be difficult and it can be challenging, and it can be very, very rewarding, though, and a gift. Just knowing that there's support out there from Rethink Mental Illness, from Carer Support Dorset, from the Carers Hub, from the Carers Leads, all of those different organisations, just knowing that there is help out there does make a massive difference. So how to access our service, our last slide. You can access our service through referral agencies. I mentioned the CMHTs, the Community Mental Health Teams, Health and Adult Services at the Council, voluntary organisations, and Carer Support Dorset. I know Carer Support Dorset are doing some publicity as well. You can go on their website and just click on through them, talk to your GP. There's also self-referrals. A lot of our referrals are self-referrals. Just email us here at this and we will pick this up. Definitely, we'll pick that up and get back to you. And I mentioned the advice and fact sheets. You can also look at our Rethink website for useful advice and information, such as groups across Dorset and the advice and fact sheets here. Just looking at our website, we have a wealth of information on mental health, mental illness. and campaigns, organisations, fact sheets. So that's it from me, Ingrid Leggett here at Rethink Mental Illness Dorset Support Service. I hope this presentation was useful, and for those of you who are out there face to face, I hope that you've met up with our lovely Pam and Ren out there. Okay, so do email us. That's it. Thank you very much and goodbye.